Hello, and thank you for joining us for another adventure in adventuring. I'm JD, the DM, and today we have a dark adventure ahead of us. Abaddon, Sombria, and Gerald have returned to Themestriel from the Trials of the Valley of Order, and Abaddon stays deep in thought throughout their trip back, contemplating the failure of his last test. His companions give him a lot of space, reflecting back on how he was willing to sacrifice them to gain his paladinship. Arriving in Themestriel, Abaddon excuses himself to give himself time to contemplate, and Gerald and Sombria head to the tavern to find Orisa and Ariante there. Gerald is worried about his clan that has made their home in Fort Kingshard, a full week's journey to the west. The next day, the four set out, along with Sombria's winter wolf. And the road is clear, and it's a little slow going because Orisa's got short legs and can't quite keep up with the rest of the group. On the evening of the 9th day, Gerald is excited to reach his homeland, but as the valley comes into view, his excitement turns to worry. The terrain is nothing like he recalled. The flat, lightly forested plains that he lived in his youth are now flooded with a gray, murky water. The trees are poking up out of the water, and they're rotting and leafless, and they're covered with a slimy black moss. A thick mist veils the swamp that smells of rotten vegetables, and the party can't make out any type of trail. They do find a small home setting along the edge of the swamp, and the party can see a light in the window. They approach, and a very lovely young woman opens the door. "What brings this well-armed group of adventurers to my door?" she asks. "We bear the deed for Fort Kingshard and have come to claim it." Her eyes widen. "A curse emanates from that place," she says. "It's that curse that claimed this valley, turning this once peaceful place into a land of refuse." She invites them to stay the night. They enter the home, and they can see that a banquet has already been prepared for them. "My fortunes told me that someone would be coming today, someone who could answer my prayers and clear the evil that besets this land." The party asks a few questions, and they feel good about it and spend the rest of the night. And the next morning, they thank her for her hospitality and set out. Soon they're wading waist deep through the brackish murk, all except for Orisa, whose shoulders are barely above the water. And she's not happy about it. Not an hour passes before Sombria tells the party that the mist has confounded her, and she no longer knows which way they're headed. The wolf can't smell any tracks or anything through this water. He's just treading along with them. And as the party searches for some sign of direction, Sombria's wolf suddenly bristles up and growls threateningly, and a dark figure rises up out of the water behind Sombria. Its hand passes ethereally through Sombria's back and wraps around her heart. Sombria falls to the ground, a freezing cold in her chest. Orisa, already wet, cold, and lost, was in a bad mood. This was the final straw, and she flew into a full rage. She leapt out of the water and hacked at the spectre, nearly cleaving it in half. A second spectre, which was hiding within a trunk, sprang out at Ariante. Gerald reacted quickly and sneak attacked it, and the second spectre nearly killed it. And then Orisa spins around, finishes it off. "Take that, and your darn swamp along with you!" So barely recovering from the attack, Sombria notices that there's a ripple in the water, and she can feel this dull, thudding vibration beneath her feet. And she motions for the party to hide as she slips into the shadows, as does Gerald. And Orisa calls on her new barbaric training, and her body morphs. Hair sprouts from her pores, her teeth elongate, her nose and her jaw sprout outwards. Her hands form large paws, and her nails grow into 5-inch claws. Her training has given her the ability to morph into a medium-sized red-headed bear. So she starts swimming away, as does the wolf, and Ariante looks around for a place to hide. We all know how well that worked out earlier. So he climbs a tree, and it's a thin tree, and just as he gets to the branches, about 20 feet up, a 20-foot tall, two-headed figure appears through the mist. The ettins' yellow eyes focus immediately on Ariante. He's walking, turns, and he looks, and he's like, oh. And this other head pulls to the side and goes, yeah. It dawns on Ariante at this point that he sucks at hiding. As the ettins' huge hand reaches for Ariante, he dives into the stagnant swamp, casting water breathing as he falls. So he lands in the water and he can breathe the water just fine. So he stays underwater for a minute. And the giant sloshes through water, searching for Ariante. And so Ariante swims to the giant's heel and grabs onto the back of its huge sandal. And that ettin, after several minutes of searching for his prey, grows frustrated. Forget about this. Moves on. So Arisa changed back to her dwarven form, and the party regroup, and they decide to follow the ettin. Keeping behind it, they follow it into the swamp. The swamp kind of rises up a little bit, so it gets just a little bit of water, a little tiny hill. And as they get to this point, they can see at the top of a low hill, there's these massive walls, the walls of Fort Kingshard. The ettin's staring at the walls, and he doesn't see the party. He's looking at the walls, and he snarls. The other head sniffs at the air. One face cringes in disgust, and the other face bellows an angry roar at the broken gate. There's no response. After a moment, the monster turns and continues on its way. The party wait until it's moved out of sight, and then they make their way up to the wall. The gate looks as though it's been melted away. Sickly yellow sludge that has dissolved not only the gate, but portions of the massive stone wall around it. They cautiously make their way into the gate and into the courtyard. This enormous courtyard, nearly half a mile across, within a towering circular wall. It's sunken several feet from the base and it's filled with this black, muddy water, and it's littered with broken columns. In the center of the yard sits a large two-story, windowless black stone building. A stone porch sits before the building at the top of a set of stone stairs. The heavy oak doors of the building are closed and undamaged. To the right of the door is a large pile of rotting bodies of at least 50 men. Big pile of bodies up on top of this porch, right next to the door. So the party's like, ooh, what's going on here? Let's go investigate that. So they make their way through the courtyard, and about midway through, they notice this large black tree. It's as big as a tree, and it's floating closer to them. And they watch it for a minute, and they like, okay, well, let's continue on our way. So as they approach the log, a wave of uncontrollable fear strikes the group, and the log suddenly springs forward in a spray of water, coming up on 4 legs. A scaly reptilian form surges towards them, a set of large wings sprouting from its side, black, soulless eyes beneath a pair of backward curving horns protrude from its 8-foot-long crocodilian head. Its huge mouth, just full of these foot-long, razor-sharp teeth, opens in a roar, and a spray of yellow foam spews from its throat. The party has no time to react to the black dragon's acid attack. The wolf takes the full brunt of the blast and dissolves into a sickly pool. Sombria starts to draw her bow as the acid catches her square in the chest. Her chest just starts to dissolve away, and she falls dead in the water. Ariante turns to run as a splash spreads across his back, and he feels the acid just burn through his body, and he falls dead into the water. Gerald dies before the look of dread can even cross his face. The blast knocks Orisa back into the water. Clinging to life, she desperately tries to crawl away. As the life leaves her body, she sees a white arrow floating in a yellow, pooling bile. Slowly, the arrow of time, knocked loose from Sombria's melted quiver, dissolves. There's a flash of bright white light, shoots from the shaft, and fills the surrounding area with a blinding aura. Is this the end of our heroes? We'll find out next time. Thanks for joining me.